taking it up.
Right, we live. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking Shift podcast. I am your host, Destry Brandon. I got a couple of nicknames, but we ain't gonna talk about that right now. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I am joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Pastor Jordan Bartlett, a man of many different titles. Man. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a life coach,
that's a lot.
A pastor, a father, a husband.
Yeah.
What else? What I'm missing? I'm missing something.
It's not important.
I'm missing something. Anyways, y'all, listen. Thank you for tuning in, locking in with us once again. We don't take that for granted, but we do got a couple of housekeeping items before we start this podcast. Number one, let us know that you can hear us. Drop an emoji, drop a fire sign, drop something. Let us just know that you can hear us. Number two, we need you to share this thing out. As you're coming in, we're going to be giving you value tonight. We just need you to share it with your people. Share it with your timeline. And number three, we just need engagement tonight because we're going to talk heavy tonight. All right, we just need engagement. So we're going to do what we always do. We're going to pray in, and then we're going to jump into this thing. So, Pastor Jay, it's on you.
All right. Once again, welcome, everybody, man. We're going to pray and then see what happens. You know, this is unscripted TV, so we're going to see what happens. All right, let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you, we honor you, we praise you, we give you glory for bringing us here to this moment and in this space. We pray that even though we're in the podcast setting, we pray that the conversation tonight is able to add value to people, to your people. Help us to be able to lay foundation for the direction for the year. Help us to be able to live lives that just prove how good you are. So, God, we thank you and praise you for what's about to happen. We pray that everything that's said and done is said and done for your glory. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, so, I always open the pod up with a question or, just how the week been.
Yeah.
Some type of, setup or segue into the conversation for today. I don't know why this just popped in my mind, but I was thinking to myself, I'm like, what's the best piece of advice you've ever gotten? Not from like reading a book, but from like a person, a mentor, father, mothers, what's the best piece of advice? And in the chat, as he's answering this, I would love to know what's the best piece of advice that you've ever gotten in your entire life?
So that's a very difficult question to answer, only because like my brain files things away. And I'm sure, I'm saying mine. I'm sure that's the case for everybody. But, my brain files things away to where, asking me that, I will tell you I didn't know. But if something happens, it would trigger some advice that I've gotten, years and years ago, even as a kid, that just pops into my head. This one is kind of funny, but it's one that I think it's kind of funny, but it's one that I think is, it's relevant. And the quote is, it was a piece of advice, but the quote is, it's better to let people think you're stupid than to open your mouth and remove all doubt.
Ooh, I like that one. You know what's funny? The funny thing is, the one that I had is along the line, the same lines. That's hilarious, right? So say it again.
It's better to let people think you're stupid than to open your mouth and remove all doubt.
Okay, I like that. That's a little bit more eloquent way of saying it. Right? So mine, and for those of you that's just joining, I want to know what's the best piece of advice you've ever gotten. Not something that you read, not something that you saw on YouTube. Like, what's the best piece of advice from your life, from, you know what I'm saying, your family, somebody. What's the best piece of advice? So I would say one of the best pieces of advice. This is one that's just like ingrained in my brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my stepfather growing up was from New Orleans, right? So he had that whole New Orleans twang, you know, that baby, you know what I mean? Like, whoa there, you know what I'm saying? He had that whole thing about him, right? And he used to say to me, he was like, listen, there's all types of stupid, but the worst type of stupid is stuck on stupid. Never be stuck on stupid, right? And that is just ingrained in my brain, like, never be stuck on stupid. And that's actually a great segue into what I want to talk about tonight, right? So I was thinking about.
So wait, I don't mean to interrupt your segue, but you asked them to participate. So
let's get that.
So
I see your comment.
Yeah, so we got, so first lady's in here, she said, I got several. One is keep God first. One is don't lay down with dogs, you will get fleas. And whatever you do, always have insurance.
Okay. I like it. For those of you who are on the live right now, we only got one comment. I need to know, what's the best piece of advice?
Another piece of advice, and actually this comes from the same person.
Okay.
Another piece of advice was, don't allow buying what you want to cause you to beg for what you need.
Oh, so you was getting some gems.
Yeah.
You was getting some gems. That first one was crazy. That first one was crazy. And that just, like I said, that's funny because it triggered. It made me think about the one that I had. Like, never be. Like, he used to say that all the time. Like,
so this is actually my grandfather, State Representative John Bartlett. He said people will buy what they want and beg for what they need. He said, never allow buying what you want to cause you to beg for what you need.
That's heavy. I like that. So tonight, as I was preparing for the pod, right, I was taking in, things that we've talked about so far.
Okay.
Taking in the past sermons that you've been guiding us down this path of intentionality, right? And I was just thinking, like,
speaking of, this is one of the toughest sermon series I've ever done.
Really?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
You done done a lot of series.
This is the toughest one.
So why is that? Let's dissect that real quick. Why is that?
Number one, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to teach intentionality.
Yeah.
Right?
That's funny you say that, because just even podding about it has been kind of like, you don't want to repeat the same thing.
Yeah, but it's a repetitive.
Yeah, it really is.
Like, that's like in order for you to become intentional about a thing, like, it has to be repetitive until it becomes, natural. So it's been very difficult. And like, intentionality is like one of those things where it's like, they tell you growing up, like, don't use the word to define the word, and it's very hard to, like, navigate that with being intentional and also, like, typically when you start a year, or for me anyway, as a preacher, like, you start a year, you typically naturally go to things that, like, sort of like excite or motivate or kind of gives you some momentum to start the year. And this topic is not necessarily that. Like, this topic is so foundational that, like, it's like, man, like, I really hope that I'm not, like, losing the people. Yeah. But it's so necessary for, like, where we're going that I have to do it, but it's been very difficult.
You know what's funny, because I remember we was at the dinner, right? Was it the leadership dinner? What was it? Hold on, first of
all. So by the way, what he's referring to, I'm just putting this out there. This is coming from the pastor's mouth. Pastor Jay and Lady Key, we take all the leaders, the volunteer leaders, out to dinner every year. I think 2 years we cooked. I think 2 years we cooked for y'all. But we always do a dinner in October to honor the. So I'm not telling anybody to join leadership to go to dinner.
For the EE.
But just know
Yeah.
that we absolutely every year make it a point to show our appreciation to the leaders of this church.
Absolutely. And I can't remember what I had, but it was fire. I was like, yo, we going back. I think I had them glazed pork chops or something.
Yeah,
I don't
something
remember what
like
it was,
that.
but it was fire. But I remember when you were saying, you're like, yo, I got the direction for the year. And I'm like, okay. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yeah, I want to hear this. Because I had already been in prayer about it. I'm like, okay, let's see what he got to say. He was like, it's the year of the intentional. I'm like, I was thinking
it didn't hit the same. You thought it was
like the year of the shift was like, hey, we shifting gear. You know, so when he said that, but then when you sit with it, I understood what you were saying because, like, we've talked about it over the past couple of weeks, right? When you're not intentional about things, number one, you're gonna get a result that you don't want, that you had no idea that you know what I'm saying. Like you're gonna be disappointed at the end of the day, right? Because you didn't aim for something and you got what you didn't aim for.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's like the worst accomplishment that you can have, right? So I do think it's imperative. And on that subject, like when I was thinking about this, I'm like, we have to do an assessment, right? And this assessment is one that we used to do in the Army. And this was when we were prepping for war. This is when we were just in garrison, which is just like when you just chilling, you're doing regular things, like regular soldier things. We always had to identify what the enemy was at the time. Like, so whatever our objective was, whether that was prep for Afghanistan, right, or prep for Djibouti, we always had to identify whatever the enemy, not even there, to get there. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are some things? What was the opposition? Yeah, what can stop us from getting there? Okay, injuries. That's actually something that actually stopped us from getting to a deployment. Like, boys was breaking their ankles on purpose.
That's tough.
Listen, boys was breaking ligaments and limbs not to go to war. You know what I mean? But that's another story for another time, right? But I was thinking, like, tonight we got to identify what the enemies of this year are, because I truly believe, like we talked about this a little earlier, this may be the first time we kind of had like a pre-pod before we came here, right? But I was just thinking, like, if we don't identify what these enemies are, number one, we're going to get ambushed. That's number one. Right? When you don't identify the enemies, you're going to get on a good path, and then boom, something's going to happen that you didn't identify, right? But what also will happen is, as we go down throughout this year, not only will we get ambushed, but we're not prepared for a battle. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have the right equipment for the battle. So I just believe that if we can identify whatever the enemies are to what we're trying to do this year, what we're trying to accomplish, what we're trying to be intentional about, then we can be successful this year. You know. So I wrote down a couple of enemies. Now, I told y'all I was going down my interview. I got my cue cards with me, all right? Don't forget, Destry Winfrey when you address me. You know what I'm saying? Destry Winfrey when you, or Oprah Brandon, either one. You know what I'm saying? When you address me. Now, I can't read nothing on them. They just there. You know what I'm saying? Like, look.
Man, when you can't read your own writing, bro, that's a different level of tough.
Listen, they just there. It's there, all right? So, the very first thing, I feel like one of the enemies. Now, okay, I need you to put your not your Pastor J. I need you to put your Coach J, right? I was gonna bring in like a whistle for you, like a hat, but I need you to say, okay, run that play or flag on the play, right? Okay. So if it's something that may not align with what you believe the enemies could be, flag on the play. If you agree, run the play. I need you to elaborate, but run the play. All right. Okay. So, not identifying the not doing, right? And here's what I mean by that. Okay. We oftentimes, like, we setting goals, right? We say we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. But if we set goals and we never identify the distractions or like the things that we're not gonna do this year, like, when you talk to you deal with kids, so like children, like in school, teenagers and stuff like that. Sometimes when you talk about like what do you want in our life, they don't know what they want, but they know what they don't want. For sure. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think we got to identify what we're not going to be doing this year. Run the play, flag on the play. What you think?
I say run the play.
Run the play. All right, elaborate
I say
on that.
run the play. So when you really understand how sin works, right, and sin being going against the will of God for your life, right? Like, so of course, y'all have heard me say it a million times. There's some sins that apply to everybody, and then there's some sins that apply to you, right? But understanding how sin works and understanding that there are sins of commission, sins that we commit, that we did this and we shouldn't have. But then there's sins of omission, which means this is something that God has required of us that we failed to do, right? So being able to identify the areas of your life where God has been requiring something of you and you have not done it is an identifier, but then also understanding that, like, there are some things, to your point, that I need to identify, that I need to say I'm not going to do those anymore, right? So I told y'all, like, my January read is my yearly read of Atomic Habits, and so one of the things when you get into habit-forming behaviors is it's not enough to say I'm not going to do this thing. You also need to have something to replace it with, like something positive to replace it with, right? So I tell people all the time, like I love, and this is what I call it, I love fat snacks, right? Like, I'm not a candy person.
Yeah.
Like, I want the cookies and the brownies and the, you know what I'm saying? Like, I like the fat snacks, you know what I'm saying?
Snackety snacks.
And so I told a joke at work not too long ago. I said the only woman I've ever cheated on my wife with is Lil Debbie.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Them fudge rounds and Star Crunches.
You wasn't hitting
You
them
know
in
what I'm
the
saying?
bed, was you?
Yeah.
Was you in the bed
Hey,
with
listen,
them?
every now and then, Doc. Every now and then. But my point is, it's not enough for me to say I'm not going to eat Lil Debbie's.
Right.
I need to say, what am I going to replace Lil Debbie with?
Yeah.
So instead of going to get in the fudge round, let me go ahead and get this apple. But instead of getting the fudge round, let me go. You know what I mean? Like, let me. Is there a quote unquote sweet option, right? That's healthier, that I can replace this with, because it's not enough for me to just say I'm not going to do it. So, you know what I mean? Like if you've got the habit of, like, man, I be wanting to read my Bible, but every time I read my Bible, I fall asleep, right? So, and you've decided I'm not going to fall asleep no more. Well, what are you going to do different to make sure that you don't do that, right? So maybe you should stop reading your Bible in your bed.
Yeah. Maybe.
You know what I mean? Like,
should be like standing up.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? So that was a long explanation, but yeah, run the play.
Okay, run the play on that. Okay. This is a big one.
Okay.
This mentality of, like, more, right? So, you know, every time the year change, it's always, we gonna do more. Like this, like if you run a business, it's like, I'm gonna do more this year. Or if you, whatever it is, it just seems like when the year changes, it's like we get this mentality of more. I want to make more money. I want to do this more. I want to do that more. And I don't think nothing's wrong with that, but I think that mentality can be an enemy. And what really made me think of this is the year of the shift. When you were saying, like, God may not be calling you to do
a new thing.
He may
but
just
the same thing a new way.
Or better.
Yeah.
So we always go more, but we never go better.
For sure.
So run the play.
So tell me initially the way you read it. Tell it to me so I make sure I answer it.
Oh, I literally wrote down more.
So I'm saying, like,
like that was it.
So is it run the play that we do want more, or?
So that's kind of
the mentality of wanting more.
Are we running that?
Or
are we flagging that play?
Okay, I'm flagging that.
Okay.
I'm flagging that because I believe that a blessing that we're not ready for becomes a curse.
Yes, sir.
And
hold on. You gotta say that. You be speeding sometimes.
I've said this stuff before. Y'all have heard.
Don't make me hit somebody ain't heard.
Y'all have heard. Anybody that's been rocking with us for any amount of time has heard this before. A blessing that you're not ready for becomes a curse. So understand it. This is true story. This just happened right around New Year. It might have been right before New Year, right after, or whatever. I don't remember. But First Lady and I, we don't have, and this is not bragging. This is by the grace of God, because this was not the case 3-4 years ago. But First Lady and I, we really don't have a lot of debt like that. You know what I mean? Like, we got our mortgage, we got, you know what I mean? Like, but we don't have, like, a ridiculous amount of debt. But I appreciate that. But we do have some, and so what I told her was, one of the things that I wanted to do was, because we typically have that mentality, like, what normally I'm looking and reevaluating, like, what am I doing every day that I could be monetizing, right? So the more money, right? And then I'm like, this year I just want to be intentional about being better with the money and opportunities that we have. So here's what happens. 2023, I had some amazing opportunities to be able to share the gospel in some other spaces. And they were very gracious in me coming to do that. Those, they were very gracious. And so, we look at that and it's just like, oh, this is a blessing. Like, God gave us some extra, you know what I mean? And so I told First Lady, like, this year, if I have those same opportunities, even if it's just one time, if I have those same opportunities, like, this year I want to use that to just pay off something. Right. Like, every time that happens, like, we're paying something off until there's nothing left to pay off. Yeah. Right? So that's just a matter of, like, I'm feeling like we don't necessarily need more if we do better with what we have. And so sometimes we can get caught up in, even with our kids, like, for the last, like, 2 years, Jewel's been on this thing where, like, she wants a new house. Now, obviously, she don't understand the implications of it's not just as simple as, you know what I mean? And so me and her mom have been telling her, like, well, you don't keep your room clean here. Yeah. Do you think just because we go in a new house, like, your room's just going to automatically be clean? Like, if you're not taking care of what you have, like, why you think we're going to spend money to get another house? You're not taking care of this one, right? And so the same thing, if we have that mentality with our children, what do you think our Father God is thinking? Like, yo, like, you wanting more and more and more is irrelevant when you've not learned to handle what you've been given. So, tithing principle. If you're not going to give $1 out of 10, you're not going to give 100 out of 1,000. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so, we flagging on that, because if we focus on doing better, instead of focusing on the more, the better will cause the more to happen.
Man, and that, I told you about this earlier, but, like, that mentality, like, was a huge shift for me last year, because, like, if in business, you're looking at, like, you do numbers in your head. They call it entrepreneur math. Like, we always doing some, like, yo, if I sell a $30 product and I do that 100,000 times, then that's 300,000. You know what I mean? Like, we just be going crazy in our heads. But for the very first time, I had got some coaching for this business specifically. Like, I've always believed in getting coaching. I always believed in, like, I can't say always. That I hate when people say always. Like, and I'm saying
but I get what you're saying.
I mean?
Yeah,
like, from the time that I became conscious of coaching, I've gotten a coach, right? Yeah. But I've never had one that was specific to what I do and only does that thing, right? Mm-hmm. And I was always thinking, like, if I just do this many more listings or get this many more albums, he's like, no. Just pick a number, and pick a number that's based off of what you can handle, your capacity, right? Pick a number, and don't do nothing else but that number, but get better every single day. So that means you need to learn different brands. You need to learn different materials. You need to learn these things because you're overlooking stuff because you're thinking more. Yeah. When really, he was like, I can make what you're making right now with 10 items. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, bro, come on now. Like, he was like, I know, like, literally, I can make what you're making right now in the exact same spot that you're in with 10 items, and you doing 20, 25, and you just think by doing more that you're going to do better. No, that's not how that goes. So when you really focus in on better, the more is automatic in a sense, because once again, I don't know why I always go back to your series, God Math. But when you showing God, like, I really appreciate this, I'm really stewarding this, like, you bless me with whatever this area is, then I feel like God will bless you exponentially in that.
And I told y'all this in our January leadership meeting. I told y'all that I was focusing a lot on discipleship this year. I don't know that I really explained why.
Hit me with it.
The reason why is because as a pastor, as a Christian, forget a pastor, as a Christian, right? Like, I want to be able to reach as many people as possible and, like, spread the gospel to as many people as possible. So I told my wife the other day, I get a lot of phone calls that I would never say who these people are, but I get a lot of phone calls and people are like, hey, you got a second? I really would love your opinion on this. Hey, everything from, like, what should be my next move in ministry to what should be my next move professionally. Can you explain this biblical principle to me? Like, all of these calls. And I told my wife, I said, I think this year I'm gonna have to cut a lot of those conversations.
Yeah.
Because like, these people have pastors. So I'm not understanding why you're calling me. And it's not, let me hurry up and get to the point, because that might sound a little, pretentious. But the reason why I'm saying that is because I need to focus. If we're going to do more, I need to be more intentional about the people who are assigned to me, right? And so the reason why I'm making this push on discipleship is because if I pour into the people that are assigned to me, the people that are here at Abundant Faith, the people that are committed to Abundant Faith, and when I say here, I don't even mean physically, because you got the Andersons in Houston, and I'm talking about those people that are committed to Abundant Faith. If I fully pour into them, we will automatically reach more people, because if let's take the Jesus model. If I take 12 people from Abundant Faith and I pour everything I can into them, and those 12 people get 12 people apiece, that's more people than what I can reach by myself. Right? And so to that point, like, I said this year I was going to be more intentional about doing this better, right? Every pastor is like, we want to grow, we want to make sure we're improving and things like that. But to me, I'm shifting what that growth even looks like, because I'm using intentionality, or more intentionality, for who's assigned to me, and allowing them to go and influence the spaces that they're in.
Yeah, man. And that more mentality, bro. I don't know. I don't really understand. I get where that's rooted in. Like, I do get it.
Mm-hmm.
I think some of it can be just ambition,
Mm-hmm.
but I do get it. But at the same time, like, I think that mentality can have you overlooking so much stuff.
For sure.
Right? And that actually brings me to the next one, right? And the next one is not identifying what season you're in. And let me preface this, right? Because I think, number one, we know God's time is not our time, right? So just because the ball dropped, that don't mean you got a whole new thing. You know what I mean? Like, I think if God gave you a play, let's say in October, and he said, run this play, right, just to play on what we're doing right now. Run this play. When the ball dropped, now you talking about doing some whole nother play, because the world said new year, new me, new this, new that.
Yeah.
Like, no, you got to identify what season you're in, because you may not be in a season of everything's new. You may be in a season of keep drilling right here in this soil. You know what I'm saying? So are we running that play? Are we flagging that play? We need to identify what season that we're in. That's
that's definitely, you got to run that all the time. You got to run that all the time, because the Bible tells us that God's not the author of confusion. So if you've got, if you got summertime behaviors in the middle of winter, you're gonna have some issues. You know what I'm saying? Like, a week and a half ago, it's -4 degrees outside. You go out there in shorts and a tank top if you want to, you're going to have some problems, right? So being able to identify the season and being aware, and I think for many of us, like, we think that just because we might see a sign or we might see some evidence, we automatically think it's time to go to the next thing. It's like, that's premature. You know what I'm saying? Like you think about a woman going through the process of pregnancy, right? Like, just because she's showing don't mean it's time to give birth. You know what I mean? And then you see some women and you look and you like, boy, she got to be about due any day now.
Yeah, she pregnant.
And then you talk to her and she like, I still got a month left.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, you can't rush that. You know what I mean? Like, if you plant crops, just because you see something sprout up don't mean it's time to pull it up. You great mess up the whole thing. You know, so being able to identify that season is definitely, and staying committed to that season, you know.
Now that's major.
Yeah.
That part is major.
Yeah, we get antsy. We literally were just talking about this with the workout, right? Like, we're doing the same workout plan right now. You sent it to me. You said last time you only got, it's a 12-week workout. You got about halfway. You got about week 6, and like, all right, we doing something else. Yeah. Right. But what happened? But no, it's insane. But also, like, what would happen if you were to commit to the whole 12? Like, what kind of results? Because you saw results at 6 weeks. But what would happen if you would have committed to the whole 12?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Stuck with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, you didn't got my mind. You didn't got my mind going, because like that takes me back to the military times, right? And I don't know why. So I don't know if I said this before, right? But you know, when we talk about like the kingdom, and understanding the concept of the kingdom coming from America, right? Like, in America, it's a democracy. We got freedom. It's this and this and that. But in the kingdom, as kingdom citizens, we talking about God's kingdom. Like, that's not how it goes, right? It actually, like, and I don't know if I said this to you before, but like, God brought back to me, like, you were in the military, so don't act like you don't know what it's like to be in the kingdom. Because in the military, you don't got there's no opinion. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are literally government property when you're in the military. Like, that's why they call us GIs, right? We're literally government property. I remember, like, when we were going through training, they would tell us, like, if you don't protect yourself from the sun, you can actually get in trouble for that, because you're government property and you're damaging government property. Like, when we were training, we was close to the desert and whatnot. Like, so I'm saying that to say, like.
But that aligns biblically with, in terms of the correlation you're making with like your body being the temple of the Holy Spirit. Like, so, like, when you disrespect your body, that's not even yours to disrespect,
bruh.
Yeah.
So in that environment, like I said, you don't got choices. Now, the military, and like a lot of people think that the military is kind of like, do what you say. This like, you don't have, like, you're not a human. You're still human. Like, they still give you choices, just like God gives you choices. They still give you choices, but there's dire consequences.
For sure. For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, literally, it could be life or death. But what I'm saying is, like, you don't have no choices. So when you get a set of orders, you go into those orders are fulfilled. There is literally like it's a doctrine, since we talking, we making that correlation, right? It's a doctrine, like, you do not leave your post until you're relieved. It don't matter. It don't matter if you've been there 24 hours, 48 hours. It don't matter how long. There was time I was up for almost an entire week. And you don't leave your post until you are relieved. So
now, I've never seen the extreme of a week, but working in a hospital, there's a lot of instances, especially for the nurses and stuff, like, your shift ain't over till your relief comes.
Until your shift is over.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So I'm saying that to say, in the military, when you get orders, you go into those orders of fulfill. It don't matter what's happening in the government. It don't matter what's happening at the crib. It don't matter if your wife pregnant, about to have a baby. Like, there's things, you know what I'm saying? But it don't matter. When you get those orders, I remember I was working at Target. I was a cart boy at this point, right? I was in college, right? And they sent me a war note to my phone. Drop everything right now. We getting orders for this mission. Like, you tell them you got to go. And I had to leave. Yeah. And they had to honor that. And there's nothing
they could do about it.
They had to honor that, right? So I'm saying that to say, when God says, this is your season, this is what I need you to do, this is what you should be doing, it don't matter if it's January 1st, January 31st, January 5th. Until you complete that mission, it's not over. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So if we can have that mentality, because I just think about this, like, there's a book called The Art of War, right? And one of the things in The Art of War, he talks about, like, thinking like the enemy. And I think that's super important for us, right? Like, if we think in terms of, if I was the enemy, what would I get God's people to do? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Number one, I'm going to get them to think every time a ball drop, now it's time to do something different, even though he told them to do something else. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying that, like, we got to be aware of those things.
Yeah, so the art of war says thinking like the enemy. I would say from a Christian perspective, it's understanding the way the enemy thinks. Yeah. Right? And so being able to
walk around thinking like the devil.
Yeah,
like,
being able to prepare yourself based on knowing how the enemy thinks. You know what I'm saying? And so because I don't want to jump the gun on the game, but you end up we'll finish the game, but there's a cheat code to all of these answers.
Oh, hit me with it.
Are there more? I want to wait to the
more.
Okay,
well,
let's go ahead and do it.
First of all, we're going to pause right here. If you're getting any value, I need to see fire signs in the chat. Y'all know we don't want to just be up here talking. If y'all not getting no value, listen, Pastor Jay tired, I'm tired, our muscles are tired. Like, we just tired up here, all right? So if you ain't getting no value from this, let us know so we can hop off and we can just go be with our families. Look, I got me some eats right over there. I got some salmon in that, you know what I'm saying? I need to know. Okay, I see a couple. I see fire signs in the chat. We can keep going. Okay. We can keep going. Okay. We're identifying the enemy, right? For those of y'all who just jumped on, we're identifying the enemy of us being intentional this year. Y'all know Pastor Jay put out, straight from God. Hey, this is the year of the intentional, right? We be intentional, and those things that you're going to be intentional about, those are the things that God's going to bless, right? Exponentially blessed, right? Yeah. I mean, that word been kicking my butt all day, bro. Right. I think early on the phone I said exponentially leash. Bro. I don't know what was going on. I couldn't get that word.
Don't worry
out.
about it. We knew what you meant.
Bro, that mother been doing kung fu on me. All right, anyways. So one of the another enemy is not being in alignment. Right? Okay. Not being in alignment. That kind of segues from the last one, right?
For sure. That's what I was getting ready to say. That's very much along the same lines.
So do you got anything to add to that, or can we move on from that one? Because we kind of dodged.
Well, I just think we need to simplify this. Like, anytime we're not aligned, we're out of. Yeah. So if we're not aligned with the will of God, we're out of the will of God. When you're out of the will of God, you're in sin. Right? So God can't bless that because you're not aligned. So it is really submission to the will of God, coming up under or becoming aligned with the mission of God for your life. So it's even what you were talking about, with that mission, staying with the mission, regardless of how much time is going past, because seasons aren't about, the chronos of time, right? Like, it's not, from we're not just talking from January to March, right? And the spiritual, like, seasons can be from January to January. Yeah.
You know what I mean? In the season for 2 years.
Listen, like, I got a very close pastor friend of mine that, we were just catching up going into the new year, and he was like, bro, God didn't give me nothing for my church. Nothing new. He said, we got to stay where we are. He didn't give me nothing new, so we staying right where we at. In terms of the focus, for sure. But
and discipline.
Yeah.
That takes awareness and discipline right there. Speaking of alignment, right? Shout out to my wife, right? So I think it was last Sunday, right? And Jay's coming here all frantic. I'm back there working. Jay's coming in all frantic. Man, my life almost flashed before my eyes. Right? He talk about, mama was turning, and she didn't ran up on a curb. So I get in the car, and so like the alignment on the car, like you can almost let your hands go. Yeah. I'm not saying to do this.
Yeah, when it's fully aligned.
When it's fully aligned, it would stay straight. Yeah. Man, that mug's starting to just a little bit out of alignment. But I'm saying that to say, when God got us on the path, right? And we're out of alignment just a little bit, we can end up in a whole nother space. Like, if I just let the car go, first of all, I'm going to hit a wall or something, so I wouldn't do that. But if I'm trying to go straight and let's say, I'm in an intersection, that mug might start turning a little bit. I'm going to end up somewhere where I don't belong.
So I was reading, was it in Atomic Habits? I don't remember. I was reading something, and it was basically saying, like if you look at the trajectory from a plane flying from LA to New York, right? Like it showed like a little diagram of that trajectory. And it was like if you move before takeoff, if you move the nozzle of the plane like 3 degrees or something like that.
Something super small.
Super small, like 3 degrees, and you fly the same distance, instead of going to New York, you'll end up in like no, like it wasn't overseas, but it was like you'll end up in like Maryland or something like that. Yeah. Like just by 3 degrees.
That's crazy.
Like shifting 3 degrees before takeoff causes you to end up, so like it seems so like you couldn't even really measure it just by looking at it on ground level, but once you start actually moving forward, these two flights are just like gradually growing away from each other. And so yeah, you definitely will end up far off from where you intended.
Oh, for sure. And this is really a super important thing to like really hit on, because like I think sometimes we don't even realize when we out of alignment, because we are like, let's say, God did give us a play to run, right? And we run in that play, we can get so like engulfed in that that now that becomes the thing, versus like we're not even seeking or even listening. Like, let's not say seeking, because I don't think a lot of us have a problem with praying. Sometimes we just got a problem with listening.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
That's one of my prayer principles.
So God might be calling an audible, because you might be still on that right path, but God didn't call the audible, so now you out of alignment because you didn't even hear the audible. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's super important to hit on. Like, we have to make sure, and maybe sometimes we just need to check in with God, be like, God, am I still in alignment? Like, I don't want to make no more moves. Like, am I still in alignment with what you told me to do? That might just be like a good pit stop. It's
definitely a good practice for sure.
Okay, so we then ran down a few of them, right? We ran down the more mentality, identifying what season you're in, alignment. You said this in some capacity, but I had it written down at the same time, and I think one of the enemies is not simplifying what it is we're being intentional about, right? So when you were talking about exponents, right? And if y'all didn't listen to the last sermon, like, you got to go back and you got to go listen to that, because Pastor Jay really went in on that last sermon, right? But you were talking about the exponents, and I just did like a little deep dive on exponents. 'Cause I'm gonna be real with you, like, I loved math all the way until they started adding in the A's and the B's and the C's, dog. When they started doing that, I said, listen, I know, I'm super practical, and I'm like, listen, I ain't never counted no money and said A, B, C. I said 1, 2, 3, 50, 100, 20. You know what I mean? Like, so I didn't care about none of that, but I ended up having to get it. But the way that I got it was I had a teacher, I can't remember his name, Mr. Bazzelli. Okay. I had a math teacher named Mr. Bazzelli, and he was like, the first thing you got to do is simplify. And the good thing about simplifying, I got both of these written down, so we're going to have to, intertwine. But, like, the good thing about the simplifying is there's a system for simplifying. Yeah. And you have, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Yeah. Woo! Boy, listen.
PEMDAS.
I was listen, Aunt Sally.
Yeah.
Aunt Sally was my auntie for real in that math class, bro. Like, I was, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally on everything. You know what I'm saying? So,
parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Yeah.
Listen, that helped me out, because when I'm looking at the problem, I'm like, okay, what I got to do first? What I got to do? First thing you got to do is simplify. Listen, we talking about life right now. Like, y'all, we talking about math, but listen to the lesson in it. We talking about life. Whenever you're facing a problem, right, the first thing that we should probably do, and you let me know if we running the play or if it's flag on the play, is that we need to simplify.
Run it.
Okay, we running that play.
Yeah.
When we simplify, now we have to either create or use a already formulated system in order to execute the problem, right? We running that, or we flagging
No, you got to run it.
Okay, so break that down for us. We're going to
So-
simplify, and then we're going to use systems.
So the simplifying is really more of a mentality. The simplifying is a part of the system.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Okay.
so there is a system to simplify, but simplifying is a part of the system. So when you're learning, I remember learning how to add fractions, right? And so
Another one that was giving me that.
yeah, so it's
like,
you trying to add a fraction. If you're trying to add 5/10, you're making this way more complicated than what it need to be. Because 5/10 is just 1/2.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? Like if you're trying to add, if you're trying to add 3 seconds, you're complicating it. That's 1.5. You know what I'm saying? Like simplify it first before you try to work the problem.
Yeah.
But that's a part of the system is knowing to simplify, right?
Yeah.
And so once you break it down, you end up being able to address, and as far as life is concerned, once you simplify it, you're able to address the root of the issue. T.D. Jakes says it like this: you're able to address the root of the issue and not the fruit of the issue, right? And so instead of dealing with rotten apples that are, being produced at the limb, why don't we make sure everything is good at the root? You know what I'm saying? And so, like, simplifying it, and actually this goes into, I told you there's a cheat code. This is it. Because this applies to what you're asking. When you're talking about identifying the enemy, it's really simple. First, you ask yourself, what is it I'm trying to be intentional about?
Hold on, before you keep moving on, I think we should. This is the point to you get that pen cracking. Let's write this down.
Okay, yeah. So first, before you identify the enemy, identify the area you want to be intentional about. Because that's the area he's going to attack. You know what I'm saying?
And that's not even a secret.
That's not a secret.
Sense.
But at the same time, we got to simplify it there, because we'll be trying to fight off the enemy in one area, and we think we're winning, and the enemy's like, you don't even realize, I'm really attacking here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you think that you're fighting against this is one of my wife's terms. You think you're fighting against the spirit of sleepy. When you know what I mean? Every time my wife gets sleepy, she's like, "Ooh, that spirit of sleepy just got me." So you think you're fighting against the spirit of sleepy. We don't care whether or not you go to sleep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're fighting against time management.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because if I want to spend more time in the Word of God and spend more time in prayer, then the enemy's going to throw distractions at you. Right? One of the reasons why I subscribe to the 4 a.m. club is because there's too much that can happen throughout the day. I need to go ahead and get this just knocked out, and because there's too much that can happen. So I'm looking up and I'm like, man, it's 10 o'clock at night. Right? Yeah. So if I'm able to understand that, then I really know what the enemy's doing. But if I overcomplicate it, well, it's just the enemy always after me, and it's kind of, maybe, yeah. Right? Maybe.
Yeah. And sometimes we just an easy target at the same
yeah.
time.
Yeah, definitely.
What I mean? So number one, you said identify.
Identify where you're trying to be intentional.
Okay. Would you have a number? You had a follow up to that?
That's it. Because that's the key to everything else.
Yeah.
Right? So if you've never been a giver and you make a decision to be a giver, what's going to likely happen? An unexpected expense going to come up. Something that you really been wanting goes on sale. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? If you let's say you don't really go to church regularly. I'm going to church. I'm going to church every Sunday in the month of January. I'm going to start with January, going to church and then the job come hey, you want some overtime? Yeah. Or somebody hits you Saturday night. Hey, such and such going down. I got this extra ticket. You trying to? So then you end up oversleeping because you know what I mean. So wherever you trying to be intentional, that's where the enemy going to attack.
Yeah, and those are like sneaky little things that we don't even.
Yeah.
It's like you said, like we looking for the big attack.
Yeah, you looking for the horns and the pitchfork, bro. It don't work like that.
Yeah.
It don't work like that.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah. So, okay, and we can rattle this off real quick, right? Since we're talking about simplifying, we're talking about systems, right? Whenever you face a problem in life, no matter what it is, like it's just lifing. What's your very first, like what system do you run to? Like what's the very first thing that you do, and then maybe what's like the follow-up to that? Just so that way we can apply that to, you know what I'm saying, to our lives.
Yeah, so typically, I mean, you know, we have sayings like when it rains, it pours, you know, it's always something, just things like that, right? Because typically stuff happens in clusters, right? Like it's not just one thing, right? Or if it is one thing, it's one thing after another, you know, our sayings, right? Like, so typically, honestly, what I do first is like, I try to take a step back and like, okay, am I out of pocket?
Okay. Is this something I brought on myself?
Yeah, like, am I not moving correctly?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So
like
self-assessment is number one.
Yeah, and so depending on what the answer I come up with, the next step is always going to God, right? Prayer. But depending on the answer I come up with from step one, it kind of determines what kind of prayer I'm going with. You feel what I'm saying? Like, because sometimes I'm looking and I'm like, I thought I was on point. So then it's like, okay, God, if there is something I'm out of pocket with, like show me that, right? But if I do see an area I'm out of pocket, now it's God, forgive me that, help me to correct that. Then if it's I'm not out of pocket, I know I'm aligned. Then it's God, like, give me the strength, clarity, perseverance, whatever it is that I need to, like, navigate this space, because just because you hit resistance doesn't mean that this is not what God is calling you to. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if this comes along with the path that you're sending me down, cool, but help me to understand, or give me what I need to get through that. Help me to understand what I'm supposed to learn and know in this space, right? So the first thing is self-assessment, and then I'm going to God next, and then the next thing is really obedience. Because coming out of that, a lot of times God going to tell you some stuff that you think don't even make sense. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, like, I remember, bro, there was a point, man, and I think I've told this story before. I know I've told this story before, but there was a point in time, man, where me and my wife, newlyweds, man, we was poor, we was broke. We was getting the $20 meat packs from Marsh. You know what I mean?
Hey,
them $20.
You put me on them joints.
I might did. Hey, listen, you know what I mean? And so we not really, you know what I mean? Like, and shout out to, you know, my mom and papa too, because, you know, we'll pull up over there just pretending like all we came to do is visit. You know, we came to visit, but we know mama gonna have that stuff in that back room. You know what I'm saying? We going shopping too. You know what I mean? We wouldn't have made it.
Hey, I'm not gonna implicate ourselves. There are a couple times you need that toilet paper.
Yeah, so you know, so what I'm saying is during this time, like, we literally, like, barely making our bills. You know what I mean? We going through the grocery store with the calculator because we can't go over this amount. You know what I mean? And so, but at this time, like, you know, we're committing in our marriage to being a godly, obedient couple, and we're running into people like family members, friends, and stuff, and like they needing a place to stay. And at this time, we live literally in a 1-bedroom apartment. Like, I think that apartment was maybe like 500 square feet. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was a 1-bedroom, but it was really more like a studio. But it had a little divider wall. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? People, like, at one point in time, this is honest to God truth. At one point in time, we had people. We had a house full of people. We had somebody on both couches. We had 2 people on the floor. Me and her in the bedroom. We waking up. We feeding people. All of this kind of stuff. We don't know where this stuff coming from, but at this time, we're also, like, deciding where our marriage is going to be a godly marriage, right? So it's like we could have, facing that kind of opposition, like, we could have, hey, we ain't got it, bro. Y'all got to figure out something else, right? But just because you face opposition don't mean that that's not what God has for you. So what we learned during that time is something that we hear all the time, but it's different when you experience it, is that God will provide. Because we never, like, people, I'm talking about people going to eat in seconds off the $20 meat pack.
Well, okay, tell me this.
Mm-hmm.
Did that $20 meat pie have a little ratatouille in it?
Listen,
did it have a little ratatouille? I just want to know.
I'm not gonna say.
I didn't know how they made them mugs. 20.
Definitely shout out Granny, babe. Definitely, because Granny got the deep freezer. Granny was sending us all kind of stuff out that deep freezer. But I don't know if it had any ratatouille in it. But when I tell you the meat had more fat than meat.
Bruh.
You know what I mean? Like, it was the worst cut of everything you could possibly get.
Hey, Marsh, run them meat packs back, all right?
Marsh got to be ran back. Marsh ain't even.
Oh, yeah, Marsh ain't even. We can put Marsh out of business with the ratatouille packs.
Yeah.
But I want to hit on what you said when you said God might ask you to do something that don't make sense.
Yeah, you talking about, what you mean feeding these people? We ain't got no food.
Just like giving your favorite North Face away.
Speaking of, hey, listen, listen. So
just
so you know,
that joint.
just so you know, last week I got to work Thursday, and one of my staff people was like, he was hot about that North Face, wasn't he? I didn't even know she had been watching.
Bruh,
He was hot about that North Face, wasn't he?
Listen,
I said, keep him in prayer,
crazy
man.
Thing is, I found one today, right? I found me a North Face. I found me another North Face, but it didn't have a hood on it.
That's tough.
I said, God, come on, man. I get another one with the hood.
With
like
the
that
hood.
was my. But I guess I can wear a hoodie under that joint.
Yeah.
But anyways, real quick, y'all gotta let me know. We played a game last week called Bible or Bacon.
Yeah.
Right? If y'all want me to bring it back.
No, listen. Before you ask them, let me inform you. So let me say this. I know I'm running long, y'all. I promise. I'm wrapping up. So when you brought up Bible or Bacon last week, it really got me emotional because everybody knows Uncle Allen was my guy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Like my guy.
Yes, sir. Yes,
so like I had to reel up. You know what I'm saying? I had to G up real quick, but got me emotional again because the very next day, I get a text message from Aunt Mary Bacon, and she said, man, y'all were playing Bible or Bacon, and I was crying my eyes out, missing my husband, but so grateful, so thankful. She said, I don't do the technology, but I was playing right along with y'all. She was like, that just brought so much joy to my heart. Beautiful. Man, listen, man, almost got me again, you know what I mean? But I wanted to make sure that you know that because she wanted to make sure that you knew you were doing a great job. So.
Oh, I appreciate that. All right, so real quick, if y'all want us to play Bible or Bacon, I need you to drop either a Bible emoji or a bacon emoji real quick, and then I'll explain the rules for those who are new. But we gonna rattle these off real quick because like I said, me and Pastor Jay, we tired. All right, we tired. We tired right now. All right, so if y'all want us to play, drop an emoji real quick. The first one I see, I'll rattle like one or two off, and then we're going to get out of here. Let me know. We're going to play a little game called Bible or Bacon. Okay, I see bacon in the comment. Okay, all right, that's enough. That's all we need. All right, so let me explain the rules of the game. So for those of y'all who don't know, right, we had Elder Bacon, who was a founder of this church, right? Very important mentor, like everything. Like this church isn't what it is without him. Like
for sure.
Even I would say I can speak for me personally, like me and just like not just sticking with the ministry, but like actually working towards helping build the ministry came from just being encouraged by Uncle Allen, right? He would just say little things that you know, for somebody like me, like I like to hear a little, you know what I'm saying? So Uncle Allen, like Elder Bacon, he passed away unfortunately, but when he was preaching one day, and he would say it here and there.
No, he said it all the time.
He said it all the time, but the first time I heard him say it, it just cracked me up. He said he would like say something that was in the Bible, and he was like, "Now that's Bible." He
said that's Bible, not bacon.
Oh, that's Bible, not bacon, right?
Yeah.
So with this game, now I do not come up with these myself, all right? And I am not on either side. Yeah. I am just a spectator in this game. I'm gonna read some things off. Y'all gotta tell me if it's Bible or if it's bacon. And bacon means it ain't Bible at all. It's just something that people say or people do, and they think it's in the Bible, or it may got some reference from the Bible, but it's not Bible at all. All right.
So we're going with, just for clarity, what he's asking is this quote in the Bible, not is the sentiment or the principle in the Bible.
Right. And these are a little different, so y'all going to have to bear with me. I had to dig deep. I had to dig deep. All right. So number 1, Bible or bacon? Eve bit an apple. Bible or bacon?
All right, y'all, I'm going to let y'all answer first.
Hit us with it. Bible emoji or bacon emoji? Let me know. Was it an apple or was it not an apple? Okay, bacon. I got bacon. I got Bible. I got bacon. I got bacon and Bible.
Okay.
I got bacon and let me get one more answer. Bacon or Bible? Let me get one more.
People act like they scared to answer.
Yeah, they scared. Okay, bacon. I see bacon, Bible, bacon. All right, what is it?
Okay.
Bible or bacon?
That is bacon.
That's bacon. Okay, yeah. Why is that bacon?
Yeah, the Bible doesn't specify a type of fruit. It only identifies the tree.
The tree, okay.
Yeah, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. But it does not say an apple.
In there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right, number 2, Bible or bacon? Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are eyewitness accounts in the Bible. Bible or bacon? Let me know.
The Gospels.
Dang, somebody dropped bacon already. I don't know if I even got the word out yet. But Matthew, the Gospels, right? Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are eyewitness accounts. Is that Bible or is that bacon?
That's a great question.
Is it Bible? I know I must got them stumped because they ain't.
That's a great question.
Is it Bible or bacon?
That is a great question.
Let me know. Bible or bacon? They stumped outside. Okay, Bible. Shout out Dwayne, said Bible. Okay. Bible. I see Bible. Come on, let me get one more. Is that Bible or bacon? Don't Google it either. Y'all Googling. I know what y'all doing.
That definitely.
They Googling right now.
Listen, yeah. Nah, you can't Google, man. You can't use
Google.
your Googles.
Bacon.
Pastor Jay gonna help you.
Okay, I got Bible, bacon. What is it?
Okay. It is bacon.
Bacon. Okay.
As a matter of fact, most people or most theologians say that the Gospel of Mark is actually Peter's perspective. And Mark just wrote what Peter was telling him.
Okay. I had to dig deep in the interviews for these. Like, I had to dig deep because some of them people, trying to be funny, like, you know what I'm saying? So I had to go to Reddit. I had to go through a bunch of stuff. So, I think this is another good one. Bible or bacon? Nah, Dwayne, don't try to talk about it. This is the second time you're talking about I'm in bacon. No. Uh-oh. Sister Wells said, prove it. You're going to have a debate on your hands on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, because Mark wasn't even old enough to be a disciple of Jesus.
These Bible with bacon might add a smoke emoji if you want to smoke with Pastor Jay. All right? All right. Let me see. Okay, Bible or bacon? Peter sank because he looked away from Jesus. Bible or bacon? Let me say that again. Peter sank when he was walking on water. When Jesus called him out the boat. Peter sank because he looked away from Jesus. Is that Bible or is that bacon? Let me know. I got Bible. Somebody else, Bible. I see Bible. I see 2 Bibles. I see 3 Bibles. Okay. Pastor Jay, Bible or bacon? Or smoke? Bible, bacon, or smoke?
I'll go Bible. I think there's some technicalities, but I'll go Bible.
Yeah, I think this one is just a technicality. So it was. So I'm gonna read what the person said. The verse says he got scared because of the wind. It says nothing about him sinking because he looked down. Yet many preach this part as a metaphor for sinking into sin when we turn our eyes from Jesus. Yeah.
Right? So when you read different translations, like someone will say when he realized the storm around him or wind, whatever. It's technicality. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So hold on, what was yours? Bible or bacon? What was yours?
No, I said Bible.
Bible. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I said you could say bacon, but you have to get like into these like super finite technicalities, and yeah. So I went with Bible.
Okay, last one. The serpent in the garden was Satan. Bible or bacon? The serpent in the garden in Genesis was Bible. Is that Bible or is that bacon? Let me know. Bible or bacon? Don't be using your Twitter fingers either. Y'all using your Twitter fingers right now. It don't take that long. It's only a 2-second delay. All right, Bible. I got Bible. Who else? That Bible or bacon? The serpent in the garden with Satan. Bible. I get Bible. I got 3 Bibles. 3 is the green light. Well, I might have stumped Pastor J. Stomp.
No, it's another
Okay.
it's another technicality. Yeah, because for everybody that said Bible, I had to run back, and I don't have the Bible memorized by any means, but I had to run back what the text says. And the text actually said, now the serpent who was more crafty than any of the other animals spoke to Eve. It never actually says the serpent is Satan. That's implied. Yeah. But it doesn't actually say that.
Yep, and First Lady said that. She said it's a metaphor.
Yeah. So some will say that Satan took the form of a serpent, and because this is how deep the technicalities get. Some will say Satan took the form of the serpent, or even like quote unquote possessed a serpent, and because the serpent allowed itself to be used by Satan, that's why God said you'll be cursed and slither on your belly for forever. So it just gets really. It gets really technical, but it's implied. It doesn't actually say that Satan was the serpent.
All right, I'm gonna read the explanation. There is a verse. There ain't no point in me reading. You just said the same. I'm just going through it. It's the exact same thing. It's a technicality. I just wanted to know Bible or bacon. I'm trying to. It is hard to find these. Like, it is hard to find these things, like, just with a little twist to it.
The crazy thing about it is there's a lot of, especially anybody that is from the South or, like, has roots in the South, there's so many, like, Southern sayings that we have attributed to the Bible. That are not. It's, like, so ridiculous, like, yeah.
Bro, I've been doing the research, man. I've been doing, listen, I had to dig deep for these. We might bring this back for next week. Next week is are we
Yeah, so next week will be the last week, at least in this format. So for those of you who don't know, there's also another podcast for Abundant Faith called the Kingdom Business Podcast. Yes. And the premise of that is, how do you bring your Christian principles into a not-so-Christian world, specifically, in your case, the business world. Yeah. And so we kind of go back and forth. So we may do that, but it won't be on Wednesday nights. Yeah, so you just have to stay tuned. But next week will be the last episode of season 2 of Talkin' Shift. And then we won't have another season until January of next year.
Until next year.
Unless we could do one in July, because we do our reset in July.
Yeah, let's
we'll see what happens.
Put that on your calendar, but don't hold us to it. All right?
Save the date. It's tentative.
So here's what I need before we get out of here. If you got value from this podcast today, I need you to drop fire emojis. That fire just made me feel good. When I see the fire in the chat, I just feel good about myself. So I need to see fire in the chat. Also, if you didn't know, or even if you do know, y'all know that on Sundays, you got to pull up to the spot. Last Sunday was fire. I'm not even going to lie to you. Like, I'm not even going to give y'all play-by-play. Y'all see the videos when they drop. It was fire. The atmosphere was fire. Rodney was on fire because he ain't been here in 2 weeks because of the job that he. So shout out to Rodney.
Yeah.
Shout out to everybody that's a part of this family, man. I just love seeing.
Man, y'all don't know how much joy be in my heart when I come from out of that office and it be full in here, bro.
I be seeing it like. Because I look at your mannerisms a lot, so I see it. I'll see you try to play it. You don't show it sometimes.
So, regardless of who's in here, I'll try. I'm trying to lock in.
Yeah.
So, but it does my heart, like, man, bro. Yeah. When all my people here, man, it's like, I'm an introvert, so I don't mind partying by myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I mean, ain't nothing like having a celebration and your folks is with you.
Yeah,
you know
for sure,
mean?
for sure. So we need y'all to pull up 10-8. Matter of fact, nope. Be here at 9:55. You need 5 minutes just to get a good hug in with somebody. We be having coffee in the back.
Not
for you
do
when it's cold.
9:45 because then y'all get to talking and then you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So pull up 15 minutes early, 3625 South Emerson Avenue, and don't give us no excuse. If you got gas in that tank and you live in Indianapolis, around Indianapolis, you can make it.
Hey, you never know. You make it here and tell somebody you made it here and don't got no gas to get home. Somebody might bless you. Fill up your tank or something.
Don't ask Pastor Jay because he hit you with that Monopoly money last time. All right, and then you can't use that. You can't use that here or in the kingdom. You can't use that at either spot. All right. But anyways, we need y'all to pull up. Right. Of course, if you cannot make it here in person, of course we're gonna stream it out to you. YouTube, Facebook, Abundant Faith Christian Church, or Abundant Faith Indy. Read off what's the website?
AFCCindy.com.
AFCCindy.com. We need you to subscribe to all of those. Share it with somebody. Let them know really that you're thinking of them and that, you know, this word is for them, right?
Yeah.
If you have not listened to the last sermon, go back and listen to the last sermon, right? Don't pull up and just, you know what I'm saying? Don't pull up and not even Pastor Jay in a series and you pulling up on week 4. You don't know what happened. You need to go back and listen to the sermons, y'all. But listen, we would love to see y'all in the spot to be. We would love to see you. Also, don't forget to tune in back here next Wednesday, 7 p.m. We got something special for y'all. Pastor Jay been working on something special. So tune in next week, 7 p.m. We out of here, y'all. We love y'all. We out of here. Y'all have a great night. We will see you Sunday. Don't forget, 3628.
25.
Oh, hold on. I was giving my mama's address. I was about to say Decamp Drive,
Your mom,
3625 South Emerson Avenue. I was 3628 Decamp. Listen, y'all, this is why I need to go to sleep. We out of here. Y'all have a great night. If I can get it right.